Okay, so blessings. Now we have everything hooked up correctly, I think, and going in the right direction here. So, day 1 on our 40-day cleanse, and today being the day of Imbolc, the bride's day, goddess Bridget, and then converting into Saint Bridget over time as the landscape there changed spiritually and in many ways. So this is the food of the goddess, radiant health activation. And in this, one of the intentions, I'm feeling it very strongly right now, coming through, is coming back into those ways, those connections with the earth mother, with the food in a different way, with the land and the devas and the elementals and the transformation that happens not only as you would if you're doing a cleanse just on a dietary level, but on many different levels you may find as we continue on. So one thing is a creative transformation that happens quite often as well, where people start coming into a more of their creative gifts, and it sparks things that interests maybe that were forgotten. That happens. A lot happens. And so to be in this now, just wanted to share this. The day 1, we would always have a theme as through the years doing these. And I used to send out daily emails to the group as we're moving through it. So this is kind of like a daily email, and energetically, just to share what's coming in, the last day or 2 before this, the theme has emerged in the mud. So this is a good one to start with, being in the cleanse space. And it's there's a few different ways it's come in. So I wanted to share that. Let's get off that page. So today is Imbolc. It is February 1st, and that is part of the Celtic wheel calendar, you could say. And it's between the winter and spring. And it's just when things are changing into a little bit of melting of the snow, if you're in one of those areas where it does snow. And it can be a time, too, of beginning of planting season, depending on where you are. Now, it was also this Sankashti Chaturthi, Hindu elephant god Ganesh honored, and today in a day-long fast. And it just so happens of being in India right now and renting a space, and in here it's right next to a Ganesha temple. The family, that is their deity, their family deity. And so the energy was very high, and the festival was going all night long in the temple with a play going on. So there's been already, and Ganesha, if you're familiar with this particular Hindu god, this is a god of a remover of obstacles. So oftentimes you would invoke him, call him, and bring into the awareness the Om Gam Ganapati Namaha, to clear energy space and to remove the obstacles that are in the way. And so we're very grateful. This has been a really good start, and oh my goodness, is energy moving. So I wanted to share the few different ways that this just happened to come in. So one of the, a lot of the family showed up to be, with the temple and the annual celebration going on at this time of the year. And so I was talking with her, and she was sharing about a local ritual of ants. She called it, an ant hill. They look for ant hills, and they do some local ritual around that. And it's so important, right, in these times to when traveling across the US, I was doing a lot of that work, just do it intuitively, and noticed how some areas were completely, they could be very beautiful on the surface. And it was like the energy and the devas and the elementals, it was just there. And had a very disconcerting feeling around it. And so it was really wonderful to hear in this area, and I'm sure in more in places that do have a lineages where the land, people have been on the land. There's rituals going on there and working with the land in different ways beyond just farming, but even the farming is also extremely important. So when a lot of the big companies come in and they monocrop and they do these huge, fields, it loses several things. We won't go into all of that. And there is a movie at the end. There's a name of a movie if you're interested in just watching more on that and getting a sense. But she shared how it was about mud, and she used the word mud. And she said, and it's, it's like the mud, it's like the earth, right, of the land. And it's really about connecting in with the mud. And even though it's about the anthills. So then the second part here that I found, this came up when I was doing some, oops, we want to go back now. I had a feeling that was going to, we want to go back to mudra. And in our yoga book, and we're reading about mudras and the mud, right? Even though it's mud, it's mud too. Just thought it was very interesting that it was also that too. So to bring this in, that does mean delight and pleasure. And the rest of the word from this Kalarnava Tantra traces the word mudra to the root mud, meaning delight or pleasure, and drave, the causal form of drew, which means to draw forth. So mudra, drawing forth delight and pleasure. And so we're going to do a mudra in just a little bit to share something and just bring a little focused energy in. And it really coincides with, in particular, this particular mudra coincides with Goddess Bridget and the tradition there. So the Sanskrit word mudra is translated as, besides the other translation, as a gesture or attitude, right? So, and they can be described as psychic, emotional, devotional, and aesthetic gestures or attitudes, right? So, just thinking about that. So like a real, a spiritual gesture, spiritual attitude that combines the emotional, devotional, and psychic within it. And yogis have experienced mudras as attitudes of energy flow, intended to link the individual pranic force with the universal or cosmic force. Also defined as a seal, a shortcut, or a circuit bypass. And one of the things that a tantric master Vedic scholar was, right? I guess Vedic scholar and Pandit would be more appropriate to say, that he shared that you could, with mantras, so different than mudras, but mantras all starts coming together when you start working in that space of yoga. And that what took something that would normally take a year or 10 years, it would normally take 10 years, but using mantras and these methods with the mudra, the time element of things is very malleable, and that it was something that would take 10 years could take a year instead. And so keeping that in mind, and with these technologies, it's so much can be done. So it is a matter of, how intentional you are, what's really, what is it really your priority, and what do you want to bring in for this life and this space. So number 3, the Imbolc song. So I posted something on our little group as it got going on a little Facebook page. And when looking at the words, so I'm listening to the song. This is after I'd heard the other thing, after the, and so the words, it's Imbolc, womb of darkness. Feel the pulse of Mother Earth, the rhythm of her weaving, quickening seed to birth. Time of new beginnings, new unopened bud, raise the golden sap of life from deep within the mud. So there's another one for us. This is Mud is expanding, so that the lyrics by George Nicholas, and it's Cernunnos Rising, not sure. So then the 4th one, it was just this morning as I was really being present with those mud things and remembering that it is the lotus that grows in the mud. Yes. So, and the lotus known as a spiritual flower in terms also of each bud, each petal, opening. And the bud inside, it's perfectly clean and clear. I was reading something like this, the mud's all on the outside and it's just surrounded by all that. And as it starts to open just little by little, so this also signifies the opening of the insides and the opening, just the little by little, the ways that it opens and reveals the beauty that it is. And it's not full of mud on the inside. It always looks all beautifully polished and clean. So Kaki Mudra. So this is the crow's beak mudra. And crow and the raven, very significant in the Celtic traditions and in others. And sometimes can denote something, an ill omen, and a warning. I was reading a little bit on the crow, though, and it also discerns tremendous magic, deep magic and wisdom, and the sort of the in-between worlds. I always think of crows as well, and messengers, right, of the spirit world, as all birds are. What I hadn't known about them when I was reading the little 10 things you didn't know about the crow is that they do mate for life. And when they're young, become teenagers, they go off and they hang out with a teenage gang. So the teenagers hang out together until they mate. And I just thought that was kind of interesting that they hang out in teen gangs. So aside from being incredibly intelligent, the ability to mimic sounds and words of humans, there's a lot going on with the crow. So the yoga asana, which is usually what you would think of as the different poses that you make when you're going to a yoga class. It's usually what people think of, right? What we think of when we hear yoga. Something was going to be said on that. Oh, okay, here we go. That those came in from the ancient rishis, right? These beings who would go in nature and be contemplating, and a lot of these came from watching and observing nature, and that they would arise from that place. So the connection to nature, to the Mother Earth, the tremendous power that many of these mudras, asana, the breathing, the pranayama, all of these have. I wanted to just share really quick, because I wanted to go through this, to not do it if you have glaucoma. So there's if you have pressure in the eyes, it's not really good. Or if you're really in a depressive state, really depressive or low blood pressure, and chronic constipation, they have listed also. Diabetic retinopathy. Again, the eyes are really something to not really do this, or if you've had cataract surgery, lens implants. So if you have really something going on with the eyes, not a great thing to do. And you could just do the breath part if you want, because there's an eye part of this exercise. So keeping in mind what these mudras are, there's to be sitting comfortably, right? Come into a meditation pose. And this Nasikagra Drishti, focusing both eyes on the tip of the nose, but trying not to blink the eyes throughout. And forming the lips into a beak. And you know, putting this in to be aware of the crow, of the raven, and feeling in the essence of that energy. And with the tongue relaxed, right, you inhale slowly and deeply through the pursed lips. So you're focusing your eyes on the tip of the nose. And while you're doing this, there's a few other mudras just to keep your hands either in this where you're, I know some people do this, but if you put that in, and if you have this upwards, it's the chin mudra. And so this is more for consciousness. Yes, it's more like the psychic. If you're meditating and you see people like this, if you put your hands on your knees, because these create a psychic current, and so the energy isn't scattering. And then if you put them on your knees, again, it forms another current that goes to the Muladhara chakra. And so that's the base chakra. So it can help to be grounding as well. So if you put them upside down on your knees, your hands, that is Jnana Mudra, and that is a knowledge mudra. And so it comes in that this, when you're doing this, if you have something that you're really contemplating and you're open to receiving an intuitive piece of information or knowledge, you would want to put your hands down. If it's consciousness and you're just opening into the consciousness energy field and just bringing in and allowing that energy to circulate, then you would be more in the chin mudra aspect of things. All right, so we're going to do this for a few minutes. Okay. So putting your hands in the position that you want, and we could even do this right now for the cleanse, if it feels right to you, to have clarity, to come into your intention for the cleanse. So there's always a health focus that you come in with. And for some people, there is the releasing a bit of physical weight. Sometimes that's part of it. It's almost like that part's kind of a given for some, you know, for especially certain times of the year, you know, after the holidays, sometimes that we do the cleanse then. And but there also might be a specific sort of health challenge or issue, or just something that you want to be aware of and have an intention around, and creating more flow and health and radiant health around that. And then an area of your life. So another area of your life that has something that's showing up in a way that you feel is not particularly in flow, or you're wanting some real clarity on something that has been showing up, or it could be an emotional piece of things that's you know, very coming in really strong, and it can be an emotional focus. It can be the outer either relationships or work, or you know, a particular relationship. So it can be anything. And so if you want to get some clarity on that, even on what in regards to an intention that you have, or just even getting clarity on the intention itself, you could put your hands in the lower, you know, upside down on your knees, or palms down, you could say. And just have an intention around clarity coming in on what this cleanse is really about for you at this time in your life. Okay, so first bringing your eyes into that position where you're looking at the tip of your nose. And if it helps if there is a little bit of light coming onto your nose, you don't have to worry about it right now. But if you're doing this again, or you could pause it, it's easier to see if you have a little bit of light falling onto the tip of your nose. So you're putting that down in both eyes, a little bit right cross-eyed. Again, just doing this for a couple minutes. And forming your lips into a beak, and you're breathing in very slowly and deeply. Let's begin that now. Pursing your lips like the beak. And you're breathing out through your nose. So you're breathing in, to mention that, breathing in through your pursed lips. And then relax, just breathing very comfortably and slowly out through your nose. Keeping your eyes focused on the tip and then pursing your lips again. Bringing the breath in, just slow. Bringing it out through the nose. And as best you can, just keeping your eyes focused on the tip while you're releasing. You're releasing through the nose. And then pursing your lips again and bringing the air in. Again, just rhythmically and slow and relaxed breath. Just a few more times. Releasing through the nose, closing your mouth. Okay, so last time, wherever you are, just one more where you're bringing the air in through your pursed lips. And then out through your nose, keeping your eyes focused on the tip. So then you can just close your eyes. You're done with that. And just notice where the energy in your body, whether you feel it differently in the eye and the third eye area, and just noticing any differences there. I'm just doing a little bit of a general body scan, just noticing just in the rest of your body, starting at your feet, and just being aware of your toes and feet and ankles and your calves, your knees, your thighs. And the pelvic area and hips. And being aware of your lower back. And then the front area, the stomach area. And just slowly moving up to the chest area. And up to your shoulders, middle back. And if your shoulders are tensed at all, just the awareness of that and just the intention of releasing that. And then you're starting with your arms, your forearm, your wrists. And just noticing your hands and your fingers and the mudra. And then just coming back up to the neck area. And then your face, noticing if your jaw in any way, it's another place where attention can be held. Just noticing if there's any tightness there. Just by noticing it, it might just relax on its own. And then the rest of your face, just any of the muscles. So many muscles on the face. So just noticing that whole area. And then the back of the head. And then the top, moving to the top of the head. And just again, just the scalp area. Bringing the awareness and attention to that. And just having a sense in the body of a sense of relaxation. Again, just noticing any parts that are coming at you with intention or having anything going on in that space. And then when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. And so with the presence that's right here, if you do right now in this moment, even with your eyes open, just noticing if you have an area of your life that just jumps out without even thinking so much right now, but just sort of springs out if something didn't come in a very obvious way, or there might be something else that's coming in. That wasn't necessarily something you thought right away. Okay, and you can just relax your hands and your fingers if you haven't done that so far. All right, so Kaki Mudra, and it feels really good for a sense of focus. Yes, and in fact, let me just do this really quick to come in here. So just to read the benefits, I didn't read that. So it soothes mental tensions. Yeah, so even stimulates digestive secretion, so aiding digestion. So soothing the mental tensions, and with the eyes like that. It also comes though, and this is maybe something else, and maybe it was because of tuning into the crow energy and being so sensitive and aware after some initiations into the nature conversations. I don't know what else to call it. But with the crow energy, the intelligence and that magic and that wisdom, and then in the combination of using that Yana mudra for information to come in, to spark some intuition. So they're giving thanks to our wonderful Raven friends. So this is the movie that I talked about, and then we're just about done here. But if you were wanting to sort of get into the mud, there's a movie called Kiss the Ground. There's a few good ones on soil and different things to think about in that area. Really important, growing our food and the health of the soil and the relating to the health of our inner terrain. Yes, it's like the soil and where our cells are. So there's a good mud picture, so trusting life. And there's another really good one. If you're so inspired to have a mud bath today, and it's a different one than the sauna, but you know what? Probably very healthy as well. Think about it, right? And so I just put this one into, this is in the original one too. You can do it, yay. So day one, and whatever level that you are, remember that you really can't fail. Just what comes in and what you have a sense of what you can do right now, and to really be with that. And you might find that a momentum gets going, depending on, what day you come in. It's you can start where you are and start on whatever day, and have some of those intentions and intuitive visions and goals for yourself and what's going to work for you. So, sometimes it's just the little changes that get going that can lead to some bigger things. So it's a very chill and relaxed. We usually do a very focused, and everyone's doing the same thing, and we check in. And so this is definitely more of a relaxed, go at your own pace. And on the Facebook page, and if you're not there yet, let me know, drop me a little note on either Messenger or some other way, however you got this to find me. So you can also go to Jaya Lee or Living Heaven with Jaya Lee on Facebook, that page, and drop me a note there, and I will add you to the group. And on there we have some of the ways we traditionally did the cleanse with the low glycemic options in different phases, and using Gabriel Cousins' different phase and Rainbow Green Live Food Cuisine. That's one book, and that's where those phases are from. And so there's a food list on the page, and you can jump in and go along and see how things flow and go for you. And if you want to share anything, and we're going to be intending to do some live ones. We started it out. We're starting in our very flexible, very chill kind of space. So we're getting a hang of seeing how that goes and which format we're going to be using. All right. So many blessings on your cleansing journey, and we'd love to have you if you're not in yet. Time off. Kalima Shiv Shampoo.